This is Renat Zarbelov for innomind.org at the Open Video Conference in New York City. I am here with Christopher Blizzard, with a very interesting, powerful last name. And he is the Mozilla project developer, or why don't you tell us yourself?
I do basically developer relations and technical evangelism for the Mozilla project as a whole. Which means I work with developers, I help them understand what we're doing at Mozilla, I listen to them to understand what they need and bring a lot of that back to the Mozilla project.
And why did you call the web browser Firefox?
Why did I call it Firefox?
I mean, did you call it yourself?
Oh,
or
no.
It like
that was somebody else's choice.
Someone else's.
Yeah,
I see.
It was a good choice. I mean, it was sort of inspiring and fun and fast and sort of a huge difference between sort of what it was before and indicated it was something new and interesting.
I see. Where do you see open video, say 5 years from now, on the web? I'm talking about web open video.
Well, I think we've got a lot of video on the web already. A lot of it is in the context of classic, video distributed like television. We've seen Hulu. We've seen the rise of YouTube as a distribution medium for a lot of people to get the word out. But I think for somebody like us, that
from your standpoint,
from our standpoint, we really want to see video change on the web. We want to see what the next big thing is going to be, and I think some of the technologies we're putting in our browser are going to enable the next set of interesting ideas. So if I look 5 years down the road, our job is to create these technologies that are anybody can take advantage of, that anybody can create with, and just making it possible for them to try something new. Like, my hope is that 5 years from now, that video will look completely different than it does today.
Different in what way? Like in terms of ease of use, in terms of upload, download, or in which particular better, you're saying?
I think that fully integrated with the rest of the web experience. Like, we've seen text and images from places like Flickr and Picasa become sort of ubiquitous. We've seen the integration of those kinds of things where you're allowed to make comments on images. I think that the next set of video technologies we see are going to be ways for people to collaborate and edit online that they haven't been able to do before. It's hard to guess. It's hard to talk about the future. It's hard to guess. But I know that the future that we want to see created is one in which we get thousands of people trying out different things instead of just a few.
Chris, do you believe the H.264 standard is going to be the end of it all in the sense of usability?
Well, I think,
you know what I mean, like a common usage, as opposed to any other format out there that everyone is trying to kind of pull away on their side.
Yeah, I think
in terms of quality and things of that nature.
Yeah, H.264 is pretty good. It is a sort of expensive codec computationally, so it's expensive to decode. I think that from a quality standpoint, it's probably one of the best ones out there. It depends on how you use it. I think that we were able to show in our quality comparison that, in a real-world environment where computation is not free, H.264 and our open format, which doesn't require royalty payments or patent issues, doesn't bring patent issues into the format, they're basically the same, right? Unless you're going for really, really, really computational intensive both encoding and decoding, that H.264 basically is the same as Theora, our free format. So I'm sure that there will be continued improvements on the codec front, both on our front and for places like H.264, maybe whatever the next generation is as well. We've got other codecs in the pipeline too, some low latency, very low bandwidth codecs like CELT and Speaks, which is already used in a lot of places. And we've got Dirac as well, which is useful for very high, higher bandwidth, people that have higher computational capabilities, but it also produces a very high quality video stream as well. So there's a lot of options out there, and certainly what our goal is to make sure that we come up with formats that anybody can take part in, as opposed to just one entity. So that's our goal.
Mozilla just came out with a new particular approach, native support within the browser of video support. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Like, briefly, like, where are you going with this technology, and where do you want to establish your stance in terms of video?
Yeah, so currently video on the web is almost entirely Flash, which means that if you want to create something that is interesting, that integrates well with the video, you have to use Adobe's tools, right? You don't have another choice.
Right.
Our goal is to take the video part of that equation and make it part of HTML. Like anybody forever has been able to create images on the web and integrate it with HTML.
Right.
They can overlay text on top of it. They make comments on it. They can do all these things, and we want to open that up to videos exactly like we've always had that ability with images.
Why
which
now?
Means, why now? I think because we finally got the capabilities to do it. The computers are fast enough. We've got agreement on what the standard should be from multiple browser vendors. So multiple browser vendors, not just Mozilla, are going to ship it. And the other thing is that we have a set of codecs that are pretty good. And we started to integrate them both on the server side and on the client side as well. I would also say that we've started to understand a little bit more about what video looks like on the web, and we're willing to work with that in that context as well. So ours is not about just replacing what video does on the web today, but inspire the next thing.
I see. So it became available when HTML5 came out. Is that correct?
Yeah, HTML5 is not actually done. We're just taking pieces of it, like a lot of other browser vendors, and making it available early to users and developers.
I see.
But I think that having that standard in place has actually made a pretty big difference as well.
Is this, how do you call this particular feature in the browser?
We just call it HTML5 video.
HTML5 video within Mozilla. Which version is it again?
We will have.
It's still in beta, right?
Yeah, it's still in beta.
It's not.
We're doing a release candidate soon. Yeah,
stable version.
It's not in the stable version. We'll probably do a release of Firefox 3.5, which is where it's going to be.
3.5.
In 3.5 in within the next 2 to 4 weeks, I think.
2 to 4 weeks, you're releasing that as a full-fledged.
Yep,
not a beta.
it'll be a final release.
And what video formats does your player support? I mean, I guess it's an open source, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We support Og Theoron for video, which is an open source for video right now. That's all we support. And for audio, we support another one called Og Vorbis, which is actually...
right. I'm familiar with that format, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good format.
It's pretty obscure a little bit, no?
It's used in a lot of places, like the ringtone. It's used for ringtones on my phone, for example.
Really?
It is.
Isn't it the processor heavy?
No. Not too bad.
Resource hungry? No?
No,
Okay.
it's. I mean, the thing is that it actually, it's much better than MP3. So
In terms of quality?
in terms of quality,
Yeah, I mean, there's no question about that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. For about
Audiophiles use that, yeah.
at about twice the you get the same basic quality for about half the bit rate as MP3, which is pretty important to point out, I think.
I see. Is there something that you have learned about a technology that inspired you today at the Open Video Conference here in New York City?
Yeah, I think I really liked the work that the Kaltura and the Wikipedia folks are doing together. So they're basically using all these HTML5 standards to build an open collaborative video editing environment for the web.
Right.
So you can basically pull a clip in and you can put it together with another clip, and you can build transitions using open web technologies. And it all gets rendered in the browser, and then they can put it all back together for you. So they're basically allowing the next generation of collaboration with video on the web, and built on all these open standards with open codecs as well. So it's pretty neat. I was pretty impressed to see it. I hadn't seen it before.
Speaking of Kaltura, I actually one of the reasons why I came here is to share my idea. As an independent filmmaker. I came up with an idea because I travel a lot, and I want everything to be portable, not to lug around with a huge, gear. Now, I had an idea of a platform of some sort, right? Mm-hmm. Where there is a fusion of, say, Kaltura or a Kaltura-like cloud service, right? Fusion of that with something like Dropbox. You ever heard of Dropbox?
I've seen it.
Right. So in other words, I mean, it's a sharing of content through both your folders locally, as well as they back it up on their servers. So it's like, if once you back it up, they already have ability to, send it to anyone, even if you're not online.
Yep.
Now, do you see a day when there is a video footage pool for independent producers like me, right? Being able to tap into any kind of video clip by searching for it, right? Using P2P technology, BitTorrent. In other words, let's suppose you are sitting in California, right? And you're a filmmaker, and you produce bunch of video. Any independent filmmaker has a lot of footage that he may not use, but he still has it. HD footage of Golden Bridge or something like that, right? So you can allocate a folder by having, like, say, in your case, it would be like a Mozilla browser, right? Kind of connects. Something similar to what Opera came out recently. With are you aware?
Yep.
Like you heard about that, like sharing of files.
Yeah, through Opera,
if you
through Opera
also
servers.
Opera, right?
Yep.
Do you see a day where Mozilla has something in that regard in terms of, say, you are a filmmaker, you're looking for that clip, and then you search for it, you find it, you edit it right in Kaltura or something like that,
Yeah, I mean,
and then you publish it online.
Yeah, we're more about enabling those technologies to be built by other people. So, yeah, to your point about the Opera thing, I mean, we had something similar back in
And what do
2006.
you think about this
but,
idea, by the way?
I think it's a neat idea. I mean, if you saw the demonstration that I gave through that site called pad.ma, P-A-D-M-A, pad.ma.
I saw a woman with pad.ma website.
I gave a little demo of it, but what that is it's based on open video and open codecs. And what it does is it's acting as an online archival service for a bunch of people in India that are actually doing of raw video.
Padma, yes, I have tested it. Like back I don't know when they first came out. Yeah.
So it's got a huge amount of raw footage on it as well, and allows you to scroll through it. And it's got.
But it's not user friendly. That's what kept it away.
I don't know. It had transcripts, and you could search. And
have they improved?
I don't know. I've only looked at it over the last few weeks, but
I see. Okay.
You should have a look at it if you haven't already.
I'll refresh my
yeah, go have a look.
experience.
I mean, it looks like it has a bunch of tag systems. It has transcripts that you can search. It has just a huge amount of raw footage and preview that you can scroll through as well.
Right.
So, I mean, those are the kinds of things that we're starting to see come out with HTML5 and Open Video as the base.
Are you planning on implementing something that Opera is doing in terms of file sharing on same browser kind of usage?
Yeah, I mean, we have.
Do you find that technology innovative? I mean, they called it something like we're changing the web or something, right?
Yeah, they're shipping a web browser that you can share through Opera Service.
Right.
I thought it was okay. It's something that's specific to Opera. It's a neat idea for sure. We have something that is not the same, but we have been doing some investigations around this thing called Weave, which the first Weave is in WEAVE, that allows you to sync your bookmarks through multiple machines. So I use it all the time.
Like Foxmarks. I use Foxmarks all the time.
Yeah, like Foxmarks.
They changed the name recently. I forget.
Xmarks now.
Xmarks. Right.
Yeah, the Weave platform itself, though, is built to be much more extensible, so we can expand it in other places. So it syncs your bookmarks, your passwords, all that kind of stuff, and it does it in a secure way. So it's actually stored, encrypted on the server. We can't see it. Only you can do it with a password. But it's a platform that has been built in such a way that it's possible to extend it into other uses. So if I look at the things that they're doing with Opera and the ideas there, it's very similar in a lot of ways to sort of what we've been thinking about with Weave. It's just that Weave has a very specific implementation to begin with.